Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues and friends. Sorry for a little delay. We're accepting a lot of newcomers to the waiting room and to the event. Those of you who were there from the beginning had a chance to listen to some nice music composed and played by Matthias Loischer-Pedals, who's going to be performing for us live today. The piece is called Things Must Go On. So it's something that we're all aware of, like life is going on. And we're here together to celebrate and mark Europe Day, which is tomorrow, 9th of May. Thank you for joining us for this exciting event. We prepared a couple of things, live performances, dance performance, music performance, some surprise video messages, a special important New Yorker as a guest, and there's going to be a lot of words of support and encouragement. So I think we just should, be happy they're healthy, that we're healthy and in good place, and enjoy ourselves for 45 minutes. Ambassador, I'm sorry, I didn't introduce myself. My name is Jelena Vujic. I'm a part of the European Union delegation to the UN team. And I will be a host today together with Ambassador Ulf Skog, who's head of the European Union delegation. Ambassador, to you.
Thanks very much, Jelena. It's really good to see you. Thank you all who have joined us today. Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, it's great to know that you're all there. I wish we could meet all together and be in a room very close physically and tightly together, but unfortunately that is not possible today. We have invited you to gather with us to mark the Europe Day 2020, and as always the European Union is a little bit ahead of the curve because actually Europe Day is tomorrow, so we're one day ahead of that. As you know, the 9th of May is when we mark the anniversary of the Schuman Declaration, a speech where in 1950, coming out of the World War that had torn Europe to pieces, Robert Schuman set out his idea for a new form of political cooperation, one which would make war between Europe's nations unthinkable. Schuman's proposal is considered to be the beginning of what is now the European Union. 70 years later, we strive to be a force for peace, human progress, and international solidarity in working with all nations of the world. In so many ways, my friends, we are in another of those situations where things will not be the same. The pandemic hits everyone everywhere. We're not safe anywhere until everyone is safe everywhere. And more than ever, we are reminded that peace, human progress, and international solidarity and cooperation is the only way forward. Before we plunge into our program, let's see a short video about the European Union in the world. This, my friends, is a world premiere of this video, and I have been asked explicitly that those of you who are savvy in the social media, you're not allowed to distribute this video further because it's actually under an embargo until tomorrow. So for the world premiere of this EU in the World video, over to you.
L'Europe ne se fera pas d'un coup, ni dans une construction d'ensemble. Elle se fera par des réalisations concrètes, créant d'abord une solidarité de fait.
Thank you. So, Carol, you heard, no retweeting of this message just yet. As you saw in the video, my friends, this is an important year for the European Union, the 70th, and of course for the United Nations that celebrates its 75th anniversary. But this year is overshadowed by the new reality that we're all facing since early 2020. In fact, every aspect of our lives is now governed by the COVID-19 pandemic. We're all going through uncertain times. The pandemic is and will continue to be affecting our lives and change the world as we knew it. It's difficult for all of us, this lockdown. It's tough to be locked up in our apartment like this, but let's not forget that most of us are very privileged. We have jobs, we have health insurance. Many of us are privileged enough to work with and inside the United Nations, the most prominent organization in the world, the UN, and we live in one of the greatest cities in the world, New York City. We've seen the tremendous strain this city has undergone, though, a city that has seen so much and is looked up to by so many, a city on its knees there for a while, in March and April, but never down. So today, in the spirit of Europe, of the United Nations, and of this city, it's all about compassion and solidarity. With all those who make our life here in New York safe and livable, and with all those around the world who are suffering from the pandemic. In many parts of the world, people are now hanging outside their windows and banging kitchen utensils and in honor of all the heroes who keep the health system and basic system and city services going. I happen to live on the 26th floor and my windows do not open. So we had to find other ways to honor our heroes. Over to you, Jelena.
Thank you, Ambassador. Yes, this is our way of thanking to all New Yorkers who are in the front lines, those that are first responders, grocery store employees, transportation workers, most of all healthcare workers. There was a National Nurses Day on Wednesday, so congratulations to all the nurses. And we thank you and we bow to you. You're making our life in this city possible. And speaking of that, we're mostly talking about our physical health these days, but mental and emotional health is equally important. And in situations like these, a lot of fear and anguish emerged, and maybe even some emotions that people don't even recognize before or didn't have them before, like it happened to me. So in these cases, people turn to art. And we want to also celebrate our artists. We invited fellow New Yorkers that are also Europeans to participate in our event. We're going to have a live performance by Company SBB, led by art movement director and choreographer Stefanie Batten Bland. And I already mentioned Matthias Pedals, who is a composer and a musician and a lead guitarist in the Lauryn Hill band. And together, about a month ago, we started talking about this collaboration, and we wanted to explore the momentum where we cannot be physically together, but we can still create something together, which is, it came out beautifully, I think. And I'm gonna pass you on to Stefanie now, and she's gonna lead you through the whole experience with her instructions. Stefanie, to you.
Thank you, Jelena, and thank you, Ambassador. Good afternoon and good evening, everyone. My name is Stefanie Batten Bland, and I have the honor of founding Company SBB, which is a dance theater company, and we're based in France and New York. As we're looking at what is this idea of collaboration and expression while we are in the midst of living in smaller screens and being pushed into smaller spaces, we really were underlining the ideas of collaboration and support. Support for people who are going through it, who are in complete suffering, and power for those who are helping us stay healthy and be here. So with that, I'm going to need your help for us to be able to begin this, actually, because as we work in screens, we're also trying to find ways of screens being limitless. So if everyone could just stretch your arms out, just go ahead, do it. Just stretch your arms out beyond your screen and feel that power of moving beyond your screen. And in order for us to bring this to you, for us to bring this gift to you with all of our performers, Raphael and Guillaume, who are in France, Jennifer, who's stateside, and Matthias, who is stateside, well, here's what I'm going to need you to do. I'm going to ask you first to take that hand that we use for so many things with our devices and our laptops and our computers and our trackpads. And if you could take your finger, and we're going to help us make a performance experience. If you could go towards your screen, and if you could black out your video, turn off your video simply, and then simply mute yourself. And as we do that, this will be the opportunity for us to turn this over to Matthias, who will introduce us into our world of performance in quarantine.
This was amazing. Thank you so much, Jen, Guillaume, and Raphael, and Stefanie. Of course, this was fantastic. It just reminded me at the beginning of a pandemic in New York, this anguish and low energy, and you want to hide in a corner, and then as it develops, you get into a stage where you're really nervous and agitated, but there's nowhere to go. And you stay at home and Zoom. So I want to invite Stefanie now to talk with me a little bit about the whole creative process and how was the entire experience for you, Stefanie? Stefanie.
Thank you. Yes, I think you're touching upon something, the unknown, and what do we do in an unknown space when our imagination can sort of also feel curtailed and squished and pushed into a state of waiting. Sometimes our dreams aren't available to us, and we are looking for a way to make sure that that dream space is available and that magic can still happen for us. Collaborating in a manner like this is not one that one would think of first. We might think of it perhaps when we're far away from each other and budgetary types of restrictions, but in a moment like this, it was actually a wonderful way for us to have something to look forward to into the day, and to be able to meet and work with new people. And for us, that was really our first and foremost idea of how can we bring some type of sensation and joy to everyone. So perhaps Rapha and Guillaume would say hello to everybody. And Jennifer.
Jennifer, you're there?
Hi.
Wave to us.
What's up? Happy to be here.
I think we didn't stress enough the fact that we're all in different locations, and we're even in a different time zone, some of us, like Guillaume and Rapha. And it was really exciting to see that this didn't stop us of making a good connection between each other. And especially Matt and Stefanie and the dancers, because they didn't know each other before this, and they never met in person. So thank you so much, Stefanie and the dancers. And I think we're going to move on to Matt now to see and hear his experience and how was this creative process for him. How was it for you, Matt?
Well, it was absolutely amazing, and it was, I just second what Stefanie said, and Raphael and Jennifer. It was amazing to see that even if we cannot be together physically, we're still together. We can still, be very close. And it was beautiful for me to see how strong the emotions translated, in the dance performance, and how the dancers made it work with the music. It was absolutely fantastic. I'm very grateful. Back to you, Jelena.
Thank you so much, Matt. We are going to hear you playing live now, and we came up with the idea that you play a main tune of Ode to Joy, which is a European Union anthem, and you're going to play a version of it, so take it away. Olaf, we don't hear you.
All right, thank you. I think you hear me now. I want to thank Matt very much, and I'm very glad that the technology worked, so I didn't have to come in and back up that plan B. I think that's to the benefit of all who are attending this event. Matthias, I want to thank you for that ode to joy. I am sure that Beethoven would have approved wholeheartedly this jazzy modern version of his masterpiece, the genius that he was. And I also want to thank our performers. I hope, friends who have attended this event, that you fully grasp the tremendous work that has gone into this. We could have done this easily by just filming, and putting out a video, but this performance simultaneously carried out in different locations around the world. I'm just amazed at that choreography. So thank you for that excellent work. Colleagues, countries in Europe have been extremely hard hit by the pandemic. There is a cautious but gradual reopening of some of the shutters that have been closed on the European continent, but tolls are still high in places, and there is fear of a second wave of this pandemic. But I'm proud to say that throughout this unprecedented pressure, the understanding of the global consequences has been there all along. So as we're acting with determination to fight the pandemic in European countries, we're also helping to alleviate the dramatic consequences this crisis will have around the world. We have understood that backing up the UN system has to play a central role in that. The UN plays a central role in this crisis as in any other global challenge. So now's the time to show that solidarity is not an empty phrase. The first priority is to assist the most vulnerable in conflict zones, countries with weak healthcare systems, or where the economic crisis precedes the health crisis with already catastrophic consequences. The EU is putting together a substantial package to support our partner countries around the world. And we're also putting significant funding into ensuring that diagnostics, treatments, and vaccines against the coronavirus will become a global common good for the benefit of everyone, everywhere. But we must also look now to the day after. Important shortcomings have been laid bare. The glaring lack of access to healthcare and education in parts of the world, the inequalities between the have and the have-nots and between men and women, the wasted opportunities and added risks that come from armed conflict, the dangers of putting human rights and democracy and freedom of speech on the back burner. But there is another lesson, that when faced with imminent risk and danger, we are actually able to mobilize, to pull together and take some pretty drastic measures in response. So looking forward, we need to make sure to recover better. Better preparedness to tackle similar crises in the future, better governance, education, healthcare to all, and more just, sustainable economic and social systems. Climate change and biodiversity loss are crises potentially more serious than the one we have been focused on lately. Are we ready to confront it with the same level of determination? And isn't it time now to also understand how the inequality between men and women are holding all of us back? So, fortunately, there is a plan to do this much better in the future, the 2030 Agenda. So the message here is that the UN and all partners around the world can count on the European Union to work with you towards a world that is more equal, more sustainable, more peaceful, and where human rights are respected for all. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres, our dear friend and leader, has an exclusive message for us today. We salute him, his leadership in this crisis, including his strong call for a global ceasefire and a search for diplomacy as the means to prevent and resolve conflicts. The UN staff around the world is showing admirable courage and determination to save lives. and protect the most vulnerable. And we salute them today as well. So dear guests, let us hear the message from Secretary General Antonio Guterres.
It is my great pleasure to warmly greet the European Union and all the societies in its member states on the occasion of Europe Day. At this time, when the world faces an unprecedented crisis, I would like to express the heartfelt solidarity of the United Nations with you in your fight against the COVID-19 pandemic and its devastating economic, social, and human impacts. The observance of Europe Day reminds us of the ideals of cooperation across borders and solidarity upon which the European Union was built. European unity has brought peace, prosperity, and a better tomorrow for millions of people across several generations. Today, people in Europe and around the world are once again looking to a strong and committed European Union to work with partners in saving lives and leading the global recovery. This year also marks the 75th anniversary of the United Nations, and the international community must once again rise to the challenge of coming together in pursuit of a better world. You are an inspiration for what is possible when nations come together with unity of purpose. I would like to thank you for the exemplary partnership that exists between the United Nations and the European Union. I know that we can count on you to continue to uphold the universal values of peace and human rights, address climate change robustly, and work towards a more inclusive and sustainable world for all. Thank you.
Thank you again to the Secretary General and to that very encouraging message, and also a call for all of us to do better. We will spread this message widely via social media tools tomorrow on Europe Day, and this message that we just saw will be played inside many EU delegations as they celebrate Europe Day around the world. And that partnership between the UN and the European Union is stronger than ever, and something that we all want to strengthen even further. And now, as we are showing the solidarity with New Yorkers, they are also showing solidarity with us. New York City has strong connections to Europe and Europeans. Tomorrow, for the 12th year in a row, the Empire State Building Tower, ladies and gentlemen, will be lit in blue and yellow, the colors of the European Union, to celebrate Europe, its citizens, values, and culture. This year, our colors will send a message of support and solidarity to first responders who make our lives possible in this great city. Tomorrow night, look up New York City. And if you're not outside to see it, follow us and share at EU@UN social media accounts and all EU member states accounts too. And now to our guest, our key guest this evening. I'm very glad to announce an important New Yorker who is with us, New York City's Commissioner for International Affairs, Penny Abewardena. Commissioner Penny, it's great to see you today. Thank you for finding the time to join us and spread this message of solidarity. You are no doubt aware of how the diplomatic community here, UN and Consular Corps have come together and express solidarity and support to the city of New York, and you very much represent that. So Penny, thank you for joining us, and I want to pass the floor and the screen over to you.
Yeah. Thank you, Ambassador. Thank you so much for having me here today. Happy pre-Europe Day. I'm so thrilled to join you for this celebration. On behalf of Mayor Bill de Blasio, I want to thank you for this extraordinary show of solidarity. No matter which continent you call home, COVID-19 has transformed all of our lives. And as you all know, New York City is the epicenter here in the US. I know some countries in Europe have been hit extremely hard, and we've appreciated the connections that we've had with those cities to learn from them. I also see on the Zoom so many ambassadors and members of our diplomatic community, and I know that most of you, if not all of you, stayed in New York City during this crisis. So I wanted to take a few minutes to give you a quick overview of where we are today, the day before Europe Day, here in New York City. We are currently in the mitigation phase, and New York State has been in pause since March 20th. We have had to triple our hospital capacity by creating field hospitals. We've activated a volunteer surge of medical personnel by calling on retirees and anyone with state certified medical training to support our first responders. And it's so important now to thank all of you, European countries, our colleagues throughout European cities, as well as the larger international community who have come to our support. That hashtag, "We are all in this together," has never been more true, and it's been incredibly true for New Yorkers. I want to thank the Diplomatic Corps for the outpouring of support New York City has received, from touching letters of support to in-kind donations. I cannot thank the United Nations community enough for the historical donation of 250,000 surgical masks from the UN, as well as other masks, gloves, other PPEs that UN staffers and the diplomatic community have contributed to our local hospitals. I have to say that this past Tuesday, the Belgian consulate was very creative and partnered with the Waffles and Dingus food truck to surprise hundreds of our healthcare workers with a delicious treat. We've never seen waffles go so quickly in New York City, so we are very grateful for all the creative and thoughtful ways that the European community here in New York City is giving back. I also want to note that there are many opportunities to volunteer here in New York, and we are activating the UN and Diplomatic Corps. And if you have questions about how you can volunteer and support in our relief and recovery efforts, please reach out to my office. And that is something I want to reassure everyone that is joining us today, is that New York City is focused on recovery and reopening New York City. We will be doing this by following CDC guidelines, which include seeing 3 very important indicators go down over a period of time. That includes people admitted to the hospital with suspected COVID-19, people currently in our ICUs with a suspected COVID-19, and of course we need to see the number of people who are testing positive for COVID-19 to decrease. But in the meantime, we are focusing on ensuring that all New Yorkers are getting 4 things, and that is ensuring that they are healthy, they are safe, there is a roof over their heads, and there is enough food to eat. And that means every single New Yorker throughout the 5 boroughs, irrespective of where they have come from. The good news that I'm happy to report, and the mayor does a press conference every day here. Those of you in New York, you can watch it at 9:30 on New York One. He and the governor are very committed to being transparent with all the information and data that we currently have, and they use the press conference as a time to share that information. So the good news is that overall the number of positive cases and fatalities are significantly slowing down. Here in New York City, we are starting to plan our restart and our recovery. We have put together quite a number of task force specific to sectors and industries, including small businesses and our arts and tourism, because as all of you have seen, we need to be invested in their success coming out of this. And what we are doing right now is, in terms of how we rebuild, it's going to be the strength of our partnerships. And these partnerships really reinforce the global cooperation that New York City has with cities and states around the world, and especially being host to the largest diplomatic corps. The diplomatic community here, made up of the permanent missions, the UN headquarters, and the consulates. We are actively, my office is actively in touch with you. I hope you are feeling like we are over communicating to you. I feel like this is a time to be transparent with all the information that we have. It is really an honor to be here as you celebrate Europe Day, but show it in a way of showing solidarity with New Yorkers. We really appreciate that. I personally will stick my head out the window and see if I can see the Empire State Building. If not, I will be watching it online. Thank you so much for this really positive, fun moment. I think we need more of this in our life. The performances that we just experienced were incredible. So thank you, Ambassador, so much to you and your team for spearheading this event. We are very grateful.
Thanks a lot, Penny. Good to see you in good spirits, and greetings from all of us to the mayor and the mayor's office, and this very strong sense of support and solidarity with New York and its wonderful people. And I hope, colleagues listening in, that you all took note of the fact that there are possibilities to and room for all of us to pitch in and to make an effort and show our solidarity and support, contacting Penny's office. There's never enough of encouragement. We've asked my colleagues, the EU ambassadors, to the UN to do the same, to express their words and reflections on the current situation through words. And so we will now screen a short but fantastic video of some fantastic people, the EU ambassadors here. So please, Maestro, show the video.
Well, thank you, ambassadors. Oh, sorry. Thank you, ambassadors. This was really, really nice, and it warms my heart to see you all together like this. And I'm used to seeing you on the 31st floor, and it hasn't been for 2 months, so it's really good to see you. I like the fact that some of you use national languages, and even if we don't know what it means, I'm sure we can guess. And also, I wanted to say that it's fantastic that some of you engaged your kids to create your little posters, so kudos to you. And I think in the spirit of showing appreciation and gratefulness, I'm gonna invite you now to do a little showcase or a little practice or rehearsal like we did for a month with our performance today. For 7 p.m. cheer to all the health workers and first responders. So I invite you all to unmute yourselves, or maybe Nico will do it. And on my count, let's start cheering. And we really need a good cheer today because it's a gloomy day. So 3, 2, 1. Bravo! Thank you! Yay! Come on, louder, louder!
New York!
Yes.
Thank you, New York. Thank you. I forgot to mention
Funny.
Dana. Oh. I was rushing to talk while people were still cheering. I apologize. So I also want to thank Commissioner Dana because she really, her words were really also encouraging, and I hope every day at 7 p.m. you guys are on your windows and balconies shouting or clapping with utensils or whatever you can find. So I think we're towards the end, we're winding down, we're towards the end of our event, and we're gonna hear another performance by Matthias. And this time we were talking about which song to pick, and we couldn't decide. There's so many good songs about New York, and we picked two. First is New York State of Mind by Billy Joel, and the second one is Alicia Keys, New York, New York. So we're gonna listen to Matthias, and if you feel inspired to take a little dance, you're more than welcome. Matthias, to you. Thank you, Matthias. I heard a great cheers for you. You're playing. That was really nice, and thanks everyone who also made some moves. That was pretty cool. I suspect there were most of them were professional dancers, but and I think winding down. As I said, we're going to say goodbye. Unfortunately, we didn't manage to get Alicia keys. She was in another Zoom call, so not available at this time. But we didn't want to move anything. And we want to say thank you to everyone who joined us today to mark Europe Day with us. Thank you for all the participants, all the speakers, and we're really grateful for your cooperation and partnership, solidarity, and those are the key emotions and words for 2020. All up to you.
Thank you very much, all of you who have joined us. A special thank you to you, Jelena, for you're really the person behind all this. So great work. Thank you very much. Colleagues, friends, no more for me to say than to ask all of you to stay healthy, stay safe, stay sane, and stay good-hearted. Happy Europe Day. Thank you, all of you.
Shake.